So we've been looking at interviews with participants, U.lab participants from Scotland and also from Montreal, where I am at Concordia University. And we're starting to see certain themes that are coming up that we're looking into more deeply. So on the process side, one of the things that really sticks out from this data is the extent to which people shape their learning experience. So they choose how they're going to engage. Are they going to do it in a hub, as an individual, in coaching circles? They decide what material that they're going to engage with. Some of them even change the timeline so that the course better suits their needs and their context and their own personal learning objectives. And so we took a look at what enabled people to really take hold of the learning experience and make it their own in that way. And there seemed to be a few things that came together. So of course there's powerful content, powerful processes that allow people to connect in meaningful ways. But there is also something very significant about the interaction space or the holding space for the learning. There are two levels really of holding space. One is provided by the core group and the course itself, so people feel a part of something bigger and they feel that their learning and their process is being held. But for many, many people, there's also another level, which is that smaller scale, more local interaction or holding space, which could be a coaching circle or a hub or both. And there's something about that particular constellation of really strong content, strong processes, and kind of a dual holding space, along with the ethos of U.lab itself, that has really allowed and even encouraged people to take the learning experience, shape it and form it, and make it meaningful for themselves. So that was a bit about the process. There are also a number of outcomes. Many of them are outcomes that you might expect given the course and the nature of the material. People report being able to see themselves a lot more clearly, and a particular piece of that was many people feeling like they've been given a language or a way to name things that they think and feel and experience on a more intuitive level, and that being quite powerful. Right? Being able to articulate and present oneself out in the world in a way that feels really authentic. Of course, a lot of commentary about people deepening their listening and about broadening their thinking and their perspective. And that linked particularly to the nature of the action that many people report taking, which tended to be action that involved broadening one's perception of their system, broadening their perspective about who might need to be consulted or included in decision making, and defining their issue of concern, their organization, their system in a more comprehensive way. So, for example, moving from thinking of the client as patients, for example, to thinking of the client as patients and their families. Okay, so kind of rethinking, reconceptualizing their system to be more inclusive and more comprehensive, and their practices, like engaging in practices that reflect that. I think there's something else about action that came out. I've talked about it a little bit before, which is more about people's whole relationship to action in general. And so that shifting from thinking about action as something that you do after a great deal of planning, right, and getting something right, to thinking about action as something that you move into step by step in order to learn. So that whole iterative learning was really powerful for people. And the result was that they entered into action with much greater courage and much greater confidence. And so we're starting to talk about that whole outcome as growth or development or increase in action confidence. And we're writing about that at the moment, and hopefully that will be available for people to take a look at as a publication soon.